Hi everybody and welcome to this Pro and Expert Division playthrough for the Escape to the Sun tournament. Full 9 holes of the Koh Hong Resort. Before we get started, please do hit thumbs up on the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Get the bell button switched on, there will be tournament content throughout the week starting on Monday, so do check the channel homepage. Replays coming up for all 9 holes with my adjustments as well. Also, if you are playing any division really in the tournament, check out the general tips, routes and suggestions video for the Koh Hong Resort Escape to the Sun tournament, also on the channel homepage. Here we go. Good chance of an eagle on this par 4. We're playing with a driver with 6 bars of topspin. Doesn't have to be the Apocalypse, could be extra mile level 8 plus, could be Thor's Hammer as well. Or if you don't have those drivers, you could actually play with the big topper here as well. Allowing room for the first bounce with my 6 bars of topspin, 3 bars side spin to the right. Make sure you're not aiming too close to the rough because the tailwind in this instance may push us dangerously close. Max plus 20, even though I'm not at max distance of club, that's the adjustment I'm using. Outer wall curl to the right, and the topspin will take us over the rough and the bunkers nicely, and then roll us up towards, but not threatening, the rough near the bushes. 350 yards is going to be all fine. Now with this wind here, as this is from tournament, I'm actually dialing in using fringe check values. So I'm using a fringe check of +2, playing this one in this wind angle, 1.5 backspin, 3 bars side spin to the right, as that does give me a nice run to the pin with this green. And then here I'm playing 88% slider, 10% elevation. If you don't want to use the slider and distance checks and you're not dialing in, you can just estimate club distance yourself by finding the min and max line and play true club distance plus 10. If you do have crosswind, I would recommend you go with 15% elevation just to counter the extra wind push you will have. Perfect ball away and we will have a very good chance, and we drop this beautifully for an eagle. On this par 3, going to show you a sniper shot. You can also play with a quarterback though in headwind. We will need power 0 or a power 1 ball, preferably with good wind resistance if you are up in expert. With a sniper though, I'm setting at max distance with a basic ball. Then I'm going to switch to a katana for the side spin. I go with 3 side spin to the right and just around 4.5 back spin. I am offsetting to the right of the pin, to take into consideration the wind we're going to get because we do have crosswind. However, I do put too much side spin on here. Adjustment is max plus 20, and I do feel good with the adjustment. We are bouncing nicely in the middle of the fairway, but the spin does kick us out to the right a little bit too much. So this is one to spend a token on. These par 3s can be tricky here, but a decent speed on this par 3. Now we have a par 5 here, and I'm going to bounce over with topspin regardless of the wind angle here. Going with 6 topspin, and then I am applying 1 bar side spin to the right, and we're just going to aim down the thin strip of fairway. In crosswind here and cross headwind, cross tailwind, I do play this one max plus 10. If you do have direct tailwind, I would recommend going max 20. As you will get an extra bit of carry from the wind push and you may risk landing directly in the rough. So make sure you leave some room when you are aiming here. So between max plus 10 and max plus 20, we do want to make sure we hit perfect here, especially if you are using extra mile, because the fairway we're going to roll onto right now is, as you can see, very narrow. And if you do land in the rough here, chances are you will not reach the green in 2 for your second shot. 378 yards. Going to be absolutely fine. And you've got 2 options here. I'm going to show you the bounce over. If you push the drive a little further and a little further to the right, you can play a rough bump. But here I'm going to go with the bounce over. And there are some sticky spots here. You can see I'm adding spin and looking at the second bounce. When I move the target left and right, it doesn't really move. So I'm trying to find that spot and then applying spins to get the ball guide to the hole. Here I would recommend playing true club distance with 10% elevation. So once again, find the min line, find the max line, and then work out where your landing spot is likely to be. in terms of a slider percentage. More information on slider and min, mid and max on the Academy tutorial homepage. Make our adjustment here, true club distance 10% elevation. We do hit perfect. There is a decent chance for an albatross on this par 5, but we're just needing a little tweak here. We burn the right edge. Very good chance for a hole-in-one with this par 3. I'm going to show you two options. First being the Grizzly. Applying some topspin, 1 bar of topspin in this wind angle. Obviously if you have direct tailwind, I would go down to 0.8, and we are aiming at the pin as best we can. I do recommend you zoom in to find your alignment here. In the end I do decide to then offset, once I've aimed at the pin, offsetting with a little bit of side spin to the right, because we do have right to left tailwind. Maximum distance, 20% elevation here. I'm using max numbers even though we are not at max distance. And then we are going to adjust and take our shot. Here obviously I'm using a navigator, but you can use a kingmaker as well. We're not anywhere near max distance of club, so it doesn't necessarily need a power 3 ball. Catches the slope very nicely, and we've got a lovely true green here, and we drop that one for a hole in 1. If you don't fancy using Grizzly, you can use the Sniper as follows. Here it is good to have a high level sniper because we are going to need backspin. So this is a Sniper 10 shot, but if you don't have Sniper 10, you can set up with a lower level sniper and then switch to the Guardian and use the same amount of backspin that I'm using here. The good thing with the Sniper though is we do have good ball guide. Apply max backspin, aim at the pin, then I'm applying some side spin to offset the ball guide against the wind direction. Same adjustment as with the long iron here, max plus 20 is going to drop us down into the bunker, but don't worry, we are still going to be absolutely fine. And we want the ball to bounce on the downward slope, and then the backspin will grab and check the ball up beautifully and roll in nicely for a hole in 1. Absolute money shot if you've got your adjustment down here. Really good opportunity on this par 3. Now we are playing par 4. A couple of options here. You can play straight ahead and then go for a 40% rough bump. But here I'm going to show you a route on the right hand side. Rock or the quarterback is excellent here. We don't necessarily need power, we just need ball guide and accuracy. 3 bars side spin to the right, and then we are using top spin as well. Setting up here with the yellow ring touching the rough. Adjustment is going to be max plus 10. In the end I do drop the top spin down to 3.5 because we do have tailwind. I don't want to roll too long. So max plus 10 on this one. And then we're going to apply a little bit of curl to the right just to avoid the rough on the left. Perfect ball away, and this will bounce very nicely and approaches the top corner of the fairway, and that is going to be fine to set up a Sniper second shot. So here I'm finding max and I'm finding min. Then I'm going to go to around mid distance of club and apply spin as follows. We're using 3 bars side spin to the left so that I'm not setting up close to the rough on the left. And then some backspin, and I'm getting the ball guide here to the pin with the Sniper. Then we're going to play mid plus 10 on this one. If, of course, your drive is a different length and you feel you are nearer to min, then I would reduce your slider value or take 0.1 or 0.2 off of the mid value. You don't have to use slider. But true club distance, 10% elevation is a very good starting point for this shot if you don't fancy the rough bump on the left-hand side. Perfect ball away, and it does bounce very nicely, just missing on the right-hand side, but still a very decent chance. Now back to a par 5 here, and again we have a narrow fairway to aim at, so crucial to have a perfect ball here, especially if you're playing with the extra mile. We're going with 6 top spin, a little bit of side spin to the left, and then I'm making sure the second bounce is 1 ring over the rough. If you have a lower level extra mile, play with all the top spin that you can. You will then need to stretch out, check the position of your second bounce, and then push up the right amount of rings. Here, because we do have tailwind actually push up to max anyway. The adjustment is max plus 10. Headwind, you will need overpower here, so I would recommend going with a Kingmaker and the driver that gives you the most accuracy. As before, rough on the left, no chance of reaching the green. Rough on the right, depends on the wind angle you will get. Two options here. You can go with a bounce over shot on the fairway, which is bottom right off the picture that we're looking at now, or you can go with the rough bump. Without doubt, the rough bump is the best option to try and get the drop here. Adding topspin, and we're getting the ball guide to the hole, and here I'm using the plus yardage displayed to work out my slider percentage. For plus 8 landing spot with the sniper 10, I play this one 84% slider, 0 elevation. Obviously that will change depending what wind angle we get, and if you don't want to use landing spot reference, then just estimate distance of club as best you can. But as you can see, it's a pretty flat shot here, so 0 elevation does work very nicely in this instance. Perfect ball away, and we will bounce in the rough very nicely, and the ball tracks, comes in and drops beautifully for an albatross. Again, two options here. You can play straight up on the left side, but to increase chances of a drop, I would recommend going right hand side here, as I do in the video. Quarterback or the rock, once again for the ball guide and accuracy, and we're going with 3 right spin and a couple of bars of top spin. White ring touching the rough on the right at max distance with a power 2 ball. Adjustment here is max distance, 20% elevation. This does play a little bit more downhill than usual, so max plus 20, no curl, and hit perfect. And the ball bounces very nicely and rolls towards the end of the fairway there, and we're setting up two options again for the second shot here, 318 yards. You can go for a rough bump here if you want to, or you can go for a bounce over. Choice is absolutely yours. I would recommend checking your club distance, and again elevation will vary depending what wind angle you have, but for this cross tailwind angle I'm going with the rough bump, and I'm setting up with spin here, and you're going to see a couple of bars of backspin originally, but then I do reduce. I want to get the ball guide just short of the hole, and that's because we do have tailwind. If we have headwind, then you need to adapt your spins to have the ball guide through the hole, otherwise you will come in short. Here I'm playing 62% slider, 0 elevation, but alternatively, if you've not got references, play true club distance, 0% elevation as a general guide. Bounces into the rough very, very nicely, but we do hit it too high, so this one is over adjusted. Definitely needed a little bit more on that one, but still a very good chance. Very difficult par 3 here. In tailwind and crosswind I will go with the sniper, and I would recommend going with a power 1 ball if you can, otherwise you will adjust into the minimum distance line. If you do have headwind, then play bounce after the bunker with the quarterback and backspin, or you can use the Thor's hammer as well. You will need a lot of elevation here. On this shot I'm using max plus 45 power 2 ball settings. However, bear in mind this is a very, very difficult par 3. Just look at the size of that second bounce. Any deviation in wind strength or wind angle can throw this one off. It is extremely difficult to dial in. If you are playing quarterback or Thor's hammer for the backspin after the bunker, I would suggest going with 40 or maybe even 50% elevation, because you're shooting even further downhill on this one. Perfect ball away, and we do actually drop this beautifully for a hole-in-one, which is a real bonus on this tough par 3. And on to this par 5 now, and I'm going to show you a drive with the rock, which you can use in tailwind. Obviously, if you don't have the rock, or you do have crosswind or headwind, then go with the extra mile, Thor's hammer or apocalypse. I'm stretching out slightly, adding my topspin and side spin to the left to see the second bounce clearly over the rough. We don't want to clip the rough. Adjustment here, max plus 5. Then I am just going to push up slightly because I was stretching out to begin with, so bear that in mind. If you are using a shorter driver, you may need to push up after you adjust. In the end, I decide on just under half wall curl to the left, and we hit perfect. The good thing about using the rock here is a minor great left, great right is going to be fine. May not be the case with the extra mile, but the topspin takes us very nicely, and we just centre fairway, 350 yards. Decent chance for an albatross here as well. Tough thing on this hole is to get the pace right on this green. Setting up at max distance of the sniper, then I am applying spin, getting the ball guide pointing to the hole but stopping a little bit short, because this green does have the tendency to make the ball run a little bit, and we do have some tailwind angle. The adjustment I go with here is max plus 10. Max plus 10 on this one. Do change my mind on the adjustment, but I can assure you I do in the end settle with max plus 10. And then here we take our shot. Perfect ball away and will bounce very nicely on the fairway. If you can get an albatross here, it's a very nice drop indeed, but it is a difficult one to get. Just missing on the right hand side. Thank you for watching and good luck.